There's no denying that winters in the North Country are harsh, but some of our smallest residents, little birds like chickadees and cardinals, choose to spend their winter here. We're going to meet with Brian McAllister here at the Paul Smith's Visitor Interpretation Center to find out how they survive such harsh conditions.
So the winter bird walks are going to focus on these species, and obviously the number of species drops for the winter. There are only a few that can really deal with this cold, bitter cold wind and bitter temperatures. So those birds, known as mostly finches and woodpeckers and chickadees, nuthatches, those birds have adapted to this very cold, harsh climate that we have here. How are these birds all surviving throughout the winter? They are finding, obviously, seed at our bird feeders, but they're also finding a lot of insects that are right in the bark. We were talking earlier about these bark-boring beetles that will get inside of the bark and lay their eggs, and the larvae start chewing their way through the bark. And then the other half of the birds are these eruptive species that we were talking about, this group of birds that come down from Canada. And the reason they're coming down from Canada is because there's maybe a short supply of food up there. We say invasion, but it's more of an eruption. It's this population of finches that come down from Canada, but they're looking for the food here in our trees. They're looking for various cones. They're looking for various seeds, beech or birch seeds, if they can find them. Oh, I actually hear a red-breasted nuthatch giving that little call.
Brian's outings are known as the TR Bird Walks in honor of one of the most famous naturalists to visit the area.
We've learned that Teddy Roosevelt did a lot of bird watching in this area, up the backside of St. Regis Mountain, which is off to our right. And he kept that naturalist in him even as he went into the presidency. We thought it to be an appropriate tie-in for a naturalist, of late 1800s being here, and then we make that connection to our programming here. What's happening is their hind feet come up and land right where their front feet were as it leaps off. So it's always in two. It's a four-legged animal, but it's got two tracks set at each time. There's a very small bird called a GoldenCrowned Kinglet. It's about a ping pong ball size, so imagine a ping pong ball with a lot of feathers. And this bird, even though we get 40 below zero weather here, this bird survives. And how they do that is sometimes they burrow into the snow right on these branches. They can get in there, they can sit on the branch underneath, and then again, it's that insulative quality of snow that snow has that allows them to stay warm through the night. Through some research, they've discovered that some of these birds are actually lowering their respiratory rate, lowering their metabolic rate. So their biological processes have slowed down so much so that they don't expend that energy. Another example of birds finding food in the winter, here's a hole created by a pileated woodpecker, and that's a bird that's pretty big, it's the size of a crow. It's actually the bird that was Woody the Woodpecker was designed after. So large bird, big red crest, big pointed red crest. It's a dead tree, or decaying tree, and this woodpecker with a bill, about the size of your fingers, your index fingers, gets in here, drills in, and then he's pulling out dormant insects.
Brian has one key tip for those of you who may want to do some birding of your own.
The best times are usually earlier in the morning and then later in the afternoon. So those are peak feeding times for a lot of birds and a lot of forms of wildlife.